Hey, so it's Mr. Thomas here. I've got another art project for us. This one, I call it my big mouth texture project because it's going to include some texture, which is one of our art elements. It also has this fun little thing where you open up the paper and it becomes a big mouth animal. Now, I do animals. You definitely don't have to do animals. Another thing you don't have to is you don't have to do a side view like this. I know that can be really hard for some of you. I've got a young son, who's really into Pokemon, so he's got a Snorlax here, and when you open it up, it's got kind of all these little Pokemon berries in his mouth. You can tell this is kind of a front view, so just looking at the front of his face instead of the side. You can do that too. You can still make this kind of big mouth project, but have it open, looking kind of from the front. So what I've got is I've got a piece of paper here. I'm going to show you how to do this now because it is a little bit complicated. I've got a piece of paper, and what you want to do is you want to fold it in half to start with. So you fold it in half. Make sure you start with it the long way because you want to have this open up and see that whole big mouth. And once you have it folded in half, now you want to fold it just the top piece. So it kind of opens into two pieces there. Just that top piece, you fold it back open again, fold that, and so now you get where you've got this top piece of the head, and you're going to have the bottom part of the head there, and then when you open it up, inside here will be that whole middle section. So the way I've seen this project done a lot is with fish. So I'm going to do a little fish demonstration for you because it is a very simple, easy animal to draw. So if you're feeling stuck, hey, just go with the fish. So I'm going to start by drawing what would be the top half of my fish here. I might leave a little room for a little fin up top, a little room for a little tail in the back, something pretty. And then I've got my bottom part, a little bottom fin here, a little bottom tail piece. And now I've got, and you should try to make sure, I didn't quite get this right. You want this to look like it's connected, so it looks like, see how these two lines line up here, these line up here? That way it really looks like it is all connected in one piece. Now I can go ahead and draw my eye. I'm gonna leave a little sparkle on there. And one kind of fun thing is you want this to kind of be like where the mouth is. So some people even draw in like a little mouth line there, and maybe have it come back, and maybe have it kind of go up like he looks like he's a happy fish or something. And then if you wanted to, you could add some like stripes. But again, any lines you kind of have here need to kind of match up. And then I'll put some little lines in the tail back here. Something like that. So I'm gonna keep pretty simple with my fish. And then when you open it up, now you've got a little task here because you've got to get it so these still connect. So this is just going to be a really big fish tail. On my bear, it was just a really big back of the neck. And then I've got here, and I can make this kind of come up. And so now he's got a really big mouth fish there. And I might need to also kind of darken that line in there. And I can do things like if I wanted to, like my bear, I added teeth. You wouldn't necessarily have to do teeth. If you want to, you can do some fun little teeth on there. You could do things like putting a tongue coming out if you want a tongue. On my bears, I actually had the food kind of sitting on the tongue. I'm not going to do that on this one. I am going to have a tongue though, just because, you know, why not? And then this is where you get to be creative. Like, what do you want to have inside that mouth? You could definitely make like a smaller fish, so it looks like a fish eating a fish. You could make whatever you want. I might make my fish eating a cupcake. We're going to stick with the dessert route here. So there's my little frosted cupcake for my fish. Now I do have some stripes that I need to also connect, so I'm just going to kind of continue these wavy lines kind of down here, continue those wavy lines kind of down here, and have those connect. And so, I should add some few more little stripes all along there as well. So now I've got that drawn in. One thing I really recommend is after you draw it in, if you've got like a black marker, even if it's just like a Crayola one, it wouldn't have to be a Sharpie, going over all of your lines with that black marker and then erasing any pencil lines that still show up will really make it so that it pops, especially once you get that crayon on there. It'll really make all that really pop like I did on my bear. So let's pretend that I got all that done because you don't need to watch me do that. Now let's get into coloring some with my crayons, and we talked about texture. So texture is one of our elements of art. There can be real texture, like if I actually glued something that's kind of like scaly on here, it could look like texture that way, and you can actually feel the texture. Or it can be implied, where it looks like texture, but if I actually feel it, it's pretty smooth. On my bear, I actually have texture in a couple spots. So I put some coins underneath here to make it look like there's like berries or something inside there. Like that filling in that pie is kind of lumpy, like blueberries or whatever kind of raspberries, whatever pie this is. And I tried, so I used coins there. I tried to put texture on his fur, and I had this like crumpled up like bag that Legos came in. And I thought, oh, perfect, it's gonna be all sorts of like wrinkly. And then I can just color on top of that. When I actually went to do that though, it wasn't showing up very well. I did it up here and there was like no wrinkles at all. So then I just kind of went back and forth with my crayon a lot to kind of make it look like it's got that fur-like texture without actually putting anything underneath the paper. What I'm going to do though is I'm actually going to put something underneath the paper to make some kind of fish scales here. So I'm going to try to kind of line up some coins, and I want it to look like kind of like scales. And I'm going to kind of feel where they are. So they're kind of like right here. And so now let's say I'm going to have some blue on this fish. So I'm just gonna grab like a blue crayon, and when I color over top that, you should be able to see some of those kind of coins show through there. And if I just kind of kept moving this, if I'm good about it, it should look like a texture. So you can kind of start to see that texture on that paper there. Now this would be implied texture, because I'm going to get those coins out of there. It still feels nice and smooth, but it gives that look, that texture. Crayons are really good for this. So are colored pencils. Markers, not so much. So I wouldn't want to color this whole thing with marker. I'd want to use either crayons or colored pencils. So once I actually finished all this, and I would color the background too, once I get this whole thing done, it could look like a really cool picture, kind of like my bear does. Looks kind of awesome. Open it up, it's got that big mouth surprise. And try to get some texture. I didn't put texture everywhere. I tried to put some in a couple spots, so on his fur, on the pie there. But the rest of this, I didn't do that texture everywhere. And you can try to find things like coins that you can put underneath, or you can just kind of do it like I did with some kind of scribbly lines to kind of give it that textural look, okay? And you can be creative. Coins are just one idea. I've had people put bottle caps underneath there. I've had them go outside and get like leaves or branches or twigs or grass, put that underneath there. I had one student once who did this on like their rug. They had a rug that had texture. I even had one in a different class that got a shirt that had like some lacy texture on it, put that underneath. That looked awesome too. So go ahead, be creative, get a big mouth texture picture done, and then send me a picture of it on canvas. Thanks.